Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rahul Koul, Chief Editor, BioVoice News, and I welcome you all to this episode of Face to Face with BioVoice News. So today we have with us Dr. Taslimarif Saiyed, Director and CEO, CCAMP, Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms, Bangalore. Dr. Taslimarif Saiyed, I should say, is one of the youngest and prominent faces of the Indian Bioscience Academia. A warm welcome, Dr. Taslim, and great pleasure to connect with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. I think it's always a pleasure to connect with you and talk about the amazingly flourishing biotech field in India. Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you. So, as many of you are aware that the Startup Mahakumbh, world's largest startup event, is happening from 3rd to 5th April in New Delhi, and the mega event has over 10 pavilions, one of which is biotech and health tech. And that pavilion is being led by Dr. Taslimarif Saiyed this time. So, Dr. Taslim, please take us through what are the key highlights of the pavilion this year.
I think the Startup Mahakumbh in its second edition is, I think it's just going to the next scale. Last year, we had a fantastic, opportunity to bring together innovators and startup and entrepreneurs and also government and other stakeholders in Delhi at Bharat Mandapam. And even we had Honorable Prime Minister who had, I think, had come and addressed us all. I think we are taking the entire effort to the next level, which this Startup Mahakumbh second edition, we are bringing amazingly new innovations in the broad areas, including health tech and biotech, to the fore, with investors coming in, with the big companies coming in, the government coming in, all around the centerpiece that is the startups, the health tech and biotech startups. We are hoping that some of the amazing upcoming the solutions which are being built out of India for India and beyond are being brought together on this pavilion, where we'll be able to demonstrate the cutting edge, I think I would say the arsenal of India's biotech and health tech innovations. We'll be able to demonstrate that at the pavilion in the first week of the April year.
So how do you see biotech and health tech startup ecosystem evolving in India, and how can events like these, help accelerate this growth further?
I think very importantly, the health tech and biotech ecosystem is actually flourishing very, very well. I think the last few years have clearly shown the growth, starting from last 8, 10, even 15 years altogether have shown phenomenal surge in terms of the new solutions being built, new innovations being built, entrepreneurs taking more risk. And what is this? They all are building some solutions. They all are building and trying to address a problem where they see an opportunity to build a solution. And that is very, very important because we are hoping to get more and more new solutions for India, understanding from India, right? And help the society, be it in healthcare, be it in agriculture, environment. At the same time, because we are able to build new solutions, it also has an economic impact. We'll have more and more large enterprises being built as they go forward, as they're successful. And it will actually entirely having the spiraling effect in terms of the new employment, new capabilities, the larger, I would say, the centers which will be set up, the infrastructure will be built. So it has the health tech and biotech is a vertical which gives you both the economic side of the growth in term potential as well as the societal impact side of the growth, which is an amazing convergence according to me. And I always try to highlight that. And that is where the solutions we are seeing in healthcare, solutions we are seeing in biotech have that opportunity to do this double impact story.
And in terms of products, where do we stand, and do we see any unicorns coming up in, let's say, next decade? More biocons and CM Institutes of India is coming up.
I would say absolutely 100%. I would say sooner than that. We are almost there, right? The reason we are almost there is that The biotech in general, building new capabilities takes time. Now, since India as a country has invested for some time, our invested large number and critical mass of investment is now coming to the fore, and they are getting to a level with valuation of 200 million, 300 million, 400 million. It's, according to me, it's just some time. I would not say tomorrow, some time that we will have the billion uh, dollar, the unicorn component come in, and it is not far away. I'm very excited. Even from C Camp, I'm expecting and hoping that few of them will actually hit that mark very soon. I'm excited about them hitting that mark of evaluation, but I'm equally excited about them solving people's problem on the ground, which is keeping us the real gratification of sorts in the play. And that's why this is very, very exciting.
Absolutely, and great to hear these words. And of course, coming from you, because CCamp has been hosting so many of these innovative startups. I can see maximum of them, of course, in particularly in biotech. So that is a great news, for the whole ecosystem. So I'll first begin with the challenges part, because whenever I meet these startups, some of them are not lucky to have funding from BIRAC, or let's say get some place to work. So what about those startups? In terms of challenges, and also the regular startups which are already there, who have received the hand holding, and who are progressing well. But there certainly will be some challenges which will be there in the ecosystem. What are those challenges, and how do we go past these challenges?
Absolutely. So I think let me take the first part of your question. I think there are some brilliant ideas, right? There are brilliant ideas which are there, and they go through go to different funding opportunities, like DBT BIRAC, DST. You have AIM, you have MIGHTY, you have many more state governments, and then some foundations are there. And I believe that some of them are successful and some of them are not, but that's the nature of the entire process. But at the same time, we have to keep those numbers even larger now, and we have to do it. Why do we have to do it? The reason we have to do it is we have to have enough critical mass of those young ideas being tested and taken forward. That's very, very important, because only after that critical mass is built, the pipeline will go to the next stage, and then the next stage, and the next stage. If we have lower number of early stage funding capabilities, our entire I would say chain is going to get affected. So I think we'll have to have very large number. The base of the pyramid has to be very, very broad in terms of funding. We should try to improve further on that currently what we have, even make it double or even more, and then do that. So that's the first part of it. It's very, very important. At CCAM, or in general, we have tried to ensure that we actually look at other options to be able to fund them. So while they may not successfully here, there might be other opportunities, smaller opportunities, specific opportunities, niche opportunities, where their proposition may actually sound better, may actually work out better. So that is one. The second important thing that we need to collectively address, and we are all working on it, and Startup Mahakumbh is very important, because fields like biotech and health tech are risky fields, right? It takes time for something to work, and it becomes more or less, a kind of a binary function. Either it works, which takes many years, or if it doesn't work, even if you reach almost to the finishing mark. And that's why it makes it risky for even funders to come in. It becomes risky for many others. So how do you actually ensure that you bring in people from the investment side also, who actually can work, and you demystify this for them? You make it less complicated for those funders who are not traditional biotech and health tech funders. How do you actually simplify them? And places like Startup Mahakumbh is a great opportunity for the sectoral funders from other fields can come in and look at this and get a feel of it and see the early journey and how we can build on it. So that is one of the component that we are trying to work on.
And particularly coming to CCamp, how are you addressing the challenges of scaling up new technologies from research to real world applications, particularly in terms of funding and infrastructure?
Both are very important. So in terms of the funding, as I just mentioned, we are working with the VCs, we are working with other players who actually can either come at the time that CCAMP is working with them, or we work with them to get us a follow-on funding and many other opportunities. So that is very, very important. So we constantly work with uh, the startups which are there. But at the same time, now how do you actually provide them the infrastructure where they can scale up? Because don't want every startup to build their infrastructure. That will be really a terrible way to spend money after working very hard to raise money, right? So how do you actually focus only on the progress of your science using your money rather than building structural assets and physical assets? And that is where high-end infrastructure in labs like CCAM and many other places across India is important, because this would allow a quick access to those infrastructure for startups without spending time and investment and people to get it going, and use the funds and time to the best of its outcome, move fast in the progress. And that's what we are trying to do. Some of our efforts going in cell and gene therapy, some of our efforts are going in agriculture, some of our efforts going in microfluidics are towards that, in building high-end infrastructure altogether, including infectious biology and so on.
Right. So what are your long-term goals? Let's say next 5 to 10 years. What are you, looking at in terms of building ecosystem as well as having, encouraging more and more startups? Because I see wide range of programs, being announced by, CCAMP in collaboration with a lot of government institutes and internationally also. You'll have to sum up, for your, how do you envision the center evolving in next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, yeah, interesting question. It's very right. Over 15 years, we've attempted to build this deep science innovations, and we realized that still numbers are not enough for us to address the issues that we are all facing at the possibly population of 1.5 billion people. I think what we need to do is to have, significantly still a higher scale effort, and also a dedicated effort in thematic areas that are important for India. So if I were to say two or three major top things that CCAM is important, keen to do, to build even large number of these innovation efforts together to go next. Second, identify thematic areas which are important for India in terms of solving the problems. And third, building a much more converging playground between early stage science and late stage development. It is a puzzle that is not yet fully resolved or completely solved, and something is still up in the sky in terms of what can happen to that. There's still a divide that is still apparent, and how do we create converging space for them to come together? And that is something is also in the making for us in the for to in next 5 to 10 years at CCAM.
And in terms of collaborations, I see, a lot of collaborations happening. I mean, particularly I have seen in AMR, and also a bit of agri-tech also. So how do you see, the collaborations shaping up? Let's say in the ecosystem as well as between CCAMP and other academic institutes or maybe industry.
No, indeed. So this is exactly this idea is to partner at scale, so that your ability to bring in resources, your ability to bring new partners, the strategic in thought process, and the backing to actually allow you to get there. So all partnerships, be it national or international partnerships, including the fields that you mentioned, is towards that. How do we actually become the natural partner for global players who want to be in India and do something? How can they see an organization like CCAMP and many others are there, a natural partner for them to do it? And that's what one of the effort has been. At the same time, we do see that I think it has to be eventually a goal oriented. And the goal remains the first 3 points that I mentioned. Continue to build new and new solutions. We do understand it's a risk involved. Not all of them will be winners, but you have to support so many to get a few winners. Few winners can solve one problem. One winner cannot solve one problem. To get so in terms of it's much more than logarithmic scales that we are talking about. If you want to do it, so and that's where CCAM's role is very important in taking more and more these innovative ideas, help them, nurture them, so more and more are successful. More successful will solve a problem, and that is a big picture at the end of the day.
And is there a way that, a mechanism to measure the impact of the startups which are already there? Maybe I don't know what would be that mechanism. Is there anything which has been developed?
Oh, it's very, very simple. So I'll tell you. So we have now, and across what we'll see in Mahakumbh as well, you will have many startups which will actually have now products in the field, right? What does it mean? They're solving something because they're in either in healthcare or in biotech. They're either solving health, agri, or environment. That's one of the best way to see how your solution is able to solve a problem on the ground. So that's one major thing in terms of impact. Second major thing, economic returns. How you have been able to build economic returns to the the larger country per se. That is second. Once they grow, they are able to raise funds, build a larger economic aspect. Third, they're able to then also ensure that large number of youth that can become a participant of this effort, and they can employ them and take them to build those solutions. That's third. And at the Startup Mahakumbh, you will see many of them who are at the late stage of this, and that is going to be an important thing for us to demonstrate. While we talk about startups, many startups who have done it, we want to demonstrate them so that people can see that these are the impacts and these are the things they have done. They are not only in India now. There are startups which are in 25 countries across the world. This is tremendous impact. We are talking about solutions which were built from scratch from India, is right now distributed and sold in 25 countries of the world. This is amazing story to tell. There are solutions which are solving in terms of the life challenges, in terms of even saving lives as we speak. That's amazing thing to look at as well. So these are the aspects that we want to bring in at Startup Mahakumbh at large.
Right. There are also a lot of emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. CRISPR is there. I mean,
Yeah,
although it is controversial particularly in the context of agriculture, but it has
mm,
also some medical applications. And then
yeah,
genomics is there, which is transforming healthcare.
yeah.
What kind of role do you see of these technologies, getting developed in India? Because most of these advanced technologies are developed in Western countries and Europe, so particularly. But in India, do you see any future for these technologies, both in terms of development as well as implementation?
I think very rightly said. To be honest, yes, there are many companies in India which are using those technologies, be it mRNA technologies or even CRISPR, or many others are being used now in India, and they are developing it, and you will see products coming out soon. You mentioned about the AI. A week back, one of our startup put out the India's first AI developed drug as a license for a rare disease. So these things are happening as we speak, but these have to be in large numbers. One off, we cannot say there is a one company which has done it. And that is not good enough for a country like India. We'll have to have hundreds of those, and that's why you'll need that. So, yes, there are companies which are doing, and we need more of those. Second, as a country, are we putting out new technologies on the table? Very much so. We are there. Can we do better? Yes, 100%. And what will make us do better? More investment in academia. I think we cannot shy away from investment in R&D. It's very, very important because this is where larger, long-term technology development happen. You talk about mRNA technology, you talk about the CRISPR, you talk about many other things, including the AlphaFold and many other things, actually had a strong academic contribution to that. And something that we can do, and we are now getting global, stage to do that, is to do that. So that is what will be needed to do it collectively.
Absolutely, I agree with that. One last question. It is about, there are a lot many aspiring biotech entrepreneurs and innovators, who are
Mm.
looking at scaling their startups. What is your advice to these, entrepreneurs as well as innovators, to just encourage them?
I think the startup journey is not an easy journey. And more so, a biotech and health tech startup journey is not even that easy, right? So there's a kind of you get a double whammy of sorts when you're doing biotech and healthcare startup. But I think what we are seeing is now several of them who actually, you know, believed in their idea, honed their idea, validated their idea, ensured that everything is right about science, their business understanding is right, the other things are right. They spoke to many people, they got advice from many, ensured and persistent with the idea, they are able to actually now make a mark at a valuation of 200, $3 million. And that is really the truth. That is happening. What is required is for every startup to believe in your idea, but ensure that you double check everything multiple times and ensure that you get science right, you get business right, you get the investment right, and be persistent because the journey is going to be a roller coaster. So I think persistence and your belief is actually eventually going to make you win. And that's what it is. But the good thing is that ecosystem is much more mature. You come to Startup Mahakumbh, you will see that how large the ecosystem has become overall. And I think you have to leverage. Many of the startups that I talk about didn't have the leveraging point of that ecosystem. So the ones which are young startups, you have something that is much better ecosystem to respond to. So believe in your idea, go for ambitious plans, chase out the big dreams that you can think about, because this is the time for you to do that.
So, guys, what are you waiting for? You need to rush to Startup Mahakumbh on 3rd of April. Dr. Tasneem, thank you so much for speaking to BioVoice News. Thank you.